stress related to divorce can increase your risk of insomnia. So already you've got so much going on mentally and emotionally that it may make it difficult for you to go to sleep. So if you feel tired, you may even feel exhausted, and then as soon as you lay down and turn the light out, you're laying there with your eyes open and you're thinking, oh no, not another night of me not being able to sleep. Or you may have fragmented sleep. So this stress sleep cycle, boy, say that 3 times. The stress sleep cycle, you're stressed out about something, it negatively impacts your sleep. Your sleep issue, because you're not getting good quality sleep, now causes you to be more stressed. It heightens the stress. And so this cycle, it just spirals. But the problem is it's spiraling down. It's just going to get worse and worse and worse.
This is the Joy Act, where finding joy beyond divorce begins with your understanding that the depth of your heartache shows the depth of your capacity for joy. I'm Dr. Lisa Summerour, and together we'll use accountability, alignment, communication, and trust to transform your journey. It's time to step into the Joy Act.
Hello, Dr. Lisa here. I am your guide and proof that there is joy beyond divorce. And today's episode of the Joy Act, I'm going to be talking about the connection between sleep and stress. This is actually one of my favorite things to talk about. And the reason it's one of my favorite things to talk about is, I don't know, maybe it's getting older. The last couple of years, I have grown to appreciate a good night's sleep more than just about anything else. I mean, it is right up there with healthy eating, working out. I think for me, it's actually, if I had to pick one of those 3, it's the sleep. Like if I get a good night's sleep, everything else is changed the next day. So I think it was Brian Johnson, when I was in the program with Heroic, has a saying. He says, how do you have a good day? How do you have a good morning? Is you have a good night. And in this show, in this episode of the Joy Act, I want to talk to you about the connection between stress and sleep, especially someone who's going through a very difficult divorce. If you're leaving a job, changing careers, having a major transition because your relationship has ended, this is going to be good for you, because you need to understand the impact that your sleep is having or could be having on your emotional and mental and physical state as well. So I want to talk about that, and I shared a little bit of why this is important to me. I really, over the last few years, like I said, the importance of sleep, and because I have been reading up on it and studying it and working with a program a couple of years ago that really honed in on getting a certain amount of sleep, getting the right amount of sleep for you. And it's slightly different for everybody, but we do need the sleep. And I've had people say, oh, I can get by on 4.5 hours sleep. I only need 5 hours of sleep. I do believe we can train ourselves to operate on less sleep. I would say that, for the very, very small percentage, there is a population of humans who, and I can't remember what it's called, but they literally operate on far less sleep than most of us would think is humanly possible or even healthy. That is not most of us. That is not most of us. And your sleep habits change as you get older. The older we get, the less sleep people tend to get as they really get up in years. I'm not there yet. I still want my sleep. But for the most part, there are things that happen to us and for us when we're sleeping that do not happen if we don't get the right amount of sleep. Let me just tell you a story. I can remember going through a divorce and waking up, and I had 11:11 p.m. and 1:11 a.m. It was all these ones. And this was the time of night, for whatever reason, that my body just triggered me to get up. And then I could not fall back to sleep to save my life. And the nights that happened, I was guaranteed that the next day was just going to be off. Now today, I'm not waking up in the middle of the night because of any kind of relationship stuff, but I might keep myself up working on something, or I might want to be grown and I'm watching something on television. There are nights where I'll go, I just want to watch this, and I get caught streaming something. Or I could be up sewing, which anybody who knows me knows that could go until 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, because I'll put movies on and just sit at the sewing machine for hours until I'm almost sleeping at the machine. But I'm going to pay for it. And I know that I'm going to pay for it. It's going to take me the next day into day 2 before I really start feeling normal. And this fantasy that we've convinced ourselves of sometimes, that I can catch up on my sleep or make up on lost sleep. You don't make up on it. The sleep you didn't get last week, that is gone. It's gone forever. You're never going to get that sleep back. You can get back on a schedule and recuperate, rejuvenate, renew, but you're not going to get the sleep back that you already missed. It's just gone. So let's talk about the connection between sleep and stress. Stress triggers your fight and flight response when you're stressed out. It increases your heart rate, you're more tense, it puts you in this alert or maybe even a hyper alert state. Just saying those things, the increased heart rate, the tension, it's all of the things that you would identify with if your anxiety was up, if you were stressed out about something, if you were nervous about something, if you were afraid. Stress related to divorce can increase your risk of insomnia. So already you've got so much going on mentally and emotionally that it may make it difficult for you to go to sleep. So if you feel tired, you may even feel exhausted. And then as soon as you lay down and turn the light out, you're laying there with your eyes open and you're thinking, oh no, not another night of me not being able to sleep. Or you may have fragmented sleep. Or you're waking up earlier than you would normally wake up. No alarm, nothing. You're just waking up early and you can't get yourself back to sleep. So this stress sleep cycle, boy, say that 3 times. The stress sleep cycle is like this. You're stressed out about something. It negatively impacts your sleep. Your sleep issue, because you're not getting good quality sleep, now causes you to be more stressed. It heightens the stress. And so this cycle, it just spirals. But the problem is it's spiraling down. It's just going to get worse and worse and worse. And so you've got to do something to arrest it. And in order to do that, you need to understand what's going on. So hopefully learning about it will help you make sense of what you might be experiencing or may have been experiencing. And then you will have the desire to want to do something about it.
You've built a successful career, checked all the right boxes, but after divorce, why does it feel like everything is falling apart? Searching for answers online at 2 a.m., it will not bring you peace. Neither will pretending you're fine when inside you're anything but. I remember those feelings, the exhaustion, the anxiety, and the frustration from feeling stuck. It seemed like no matter what I did, I could not figure out a way to move past the pain. If you are dealing with a divorce while you're also managing your career, I've been there. Things didn't get better for me until I stopped waiting for time to heal me and I took control of my own healing. And that's how this came about. That's why I designed the 4 essential steps to creating joy after a difficult divorce. It's a masterclass for accomplished women just like you who are ready to move forward. It's time to break the cycle. Imagine waking up feeling lighter, knowing exactly what to do next, and rediscovering your joy, not just surviving, but thriving. In this masterclass, you'll learn the biggest mistakes that keep you stuck in divorce pain, why traditional recovery methods don't always work for high-achieving women, and the 4 essential steps to rebuilding your confidence and joy. Give yourself permission to stop reliving the past and start designing the future you deserve. Register today.
So, divorce-related stress increase your risk of insomnia, fragments your sleep, cause you to wake up early. We talk about the stress sleep cycle. Poor sleep increases your emotional stress. Emotional distress worsens, and then you just create that loop. Now, you've probably heard of REM sleep, REM, and that stands for rapid eye movement. Rapid eye movement, REM. And the reason that's the case is because REM sleep is that stage of sleep where your brain is processing. It's processing emotions. It's where your memories are being consolidated. So it's helping you make sense of things. And this is also when your mood gets regulated in that REM sleep stage. And the reason they call it REM sleep is because when you're in this state, there's this rapid eye movement, like literally. If somebody's watching you, if you've ever watched someone sleep and you see their eyes moving under their eyelids, that rapid eye movement, that is REM sleep. That's REM sleep. Rapid eye movement, you have really vivid dreams very often when you are in REM sleep, and there is an increase of brain activity. the reason that REM sleep matters for emotional healing. So let's just, paint the picture. You're going through a divorce or you've been through one. You still haven't recovered from it. You're still going through the stages of the loss cycle, and your emotions are still out of whack. And one of the reasons it might be out of whack is because your sleep is completely off. So REM sleep helps to soften emotional pain. Who knew, right? Did you know that? Your getting REM sleep helps soften emotional pain. So if you're not getting good quality sleep, you're not getting the amount of REM sleep that you need, you're not having that softening of emotional pain, then what do you think is happening? Everything that's hitting you emotionally is going to feel worse. It's going to feel deeper. It's going to hit you harder because you're missing out on that aspect of your sleep that would help to calm that for you. So softening emotional pain, reduce the emotional sting of difficult memories. Like if I stop this podcast right now and those were the 2 pieces of information that you got from this, and you decided to change your sleep pattern, your sleep habits because of this, or do something to help you sleep better because of this, it would be worth the few minutes that you've spent with me. It would be a priceless gift that you just gave yourself, to not just hear the information, but to be determined to do something. Because look, if you can soften the emotional pain and reduce the sting of those difficult memories that you're having, isn't that a big part of the trouble that you're having dealing with this relationship ending? The fact that the emotion, the pain of it is just taking you out sometimes. Like some days you just feel like, I can't even deal with this today. I'm going to stay in the bed. Or you start having thoughts, you start remembering things from that relationship, things that have happened from the past, and you're just like, I can't believe blah, 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 whatever it is. If you are not getting enough sleep, it's exacerbating both of those situations for you. So this REM sleep is how you're going to help and improve your problem solving ability. Because if you can reduce the strengthen your emotional resilience and increase your problem solving ability. If you don't, how about increased anxiety, the mood swings, emotional reactivity? Let me say that again. Increased anxiety. At no point does that ever feel good. At no point does your anxiety level going up feel good. Mood swings. So look, if you already know that you've been having mood swings and other people around you are telling you that you've been having mood swings, things are just setting you off, or you 1 minute you're laughing at something and then it turns into crying. I want you to think about your sleep habits right now. How are you sleeping? So increased anxiety, mood swings, emotional reactivity. Now, I am the first person to tell you, and I teach this and go over this with people. Your emotions are extremely important. They are there for a reason. You should never ignore them. You don't want to be led by an emotional reaction. You do want to figure out what's underneath it, what is causing it. But when you hear something like emotional reactivity, one, it takes you out of the empowered way of responding and puts you into an emotional reaction state, which means you might just be popping off at people and it's almost like you can't control yourself. If you're saying things like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just said that. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I just did that. And this is not characteristic of you. It is not how you want to show up in the world. It may be connected. I want you to, obviously, all of the emotional turmoil or trauma that you might be experiencing as a result of your relationship breaking up or going through the process of a divorce, especially if you're doing it with a partner or ex-partner who is very difficult to deal with, or if the relationship was toxic and extremely difficult, then you may have been in this sort of emotionally reactionary state for a while. And truth be told, your sleeping habits may have been off for quite some time. And this is going to be a little challenging for you because it is going to be a huge transition. You may have become accustomed to not getting enough sleep. So you want to make sure that you are paying attention to these things. If you're not regulating your emotions, you position yourself to experience heightened stress levels and increased irritability. You already know that these are not stages or states that you want to be in for an extended period of time. Are you going to be irritable some days? Absolutely. Are you probably going to have periods of emotional or heightened stress? Probably hard to avoid. The question is it happening so often that it's just keeping you off balance? Is it happening and you feel like you're just not even in control of yourself when it happens? Like, it's one thing to feel your stress levels going up and go, okay, I realize what's going on and I need to do something about it. And you have some strategies and exercises and things in place. It's another thing to not even recognize that it's happened until you've already hit the ceiling or snapped or popped off on someone, or your emotional state has just swung like a pendulum back and forth in a short period of time. And you're looking at people looking at you trying to figure out what the heck just happened. That's what you want to avoid. And again, this is all about you taking a look at your sleep to see if there's some connections to that, and looking at what your stress levels are like already. So let's talk about the stress hormone and its impact on sleep. That would be cortisol. So this is your body's primary stress hormone, and it is released in response to stress. And so if your cortisol levels are up, you guarantee that you're probably not going to be able to get a good night's sleep or have a restful sleep. You may not even be able to go to sleep, because if you're so stressed, it's just like your mind and your body just won't even let you relax enough to doze off. And naturally, it follows a daily rhythm. So your cortisol levels are higher in the morning, which makes sense, right? Because you want to get up, you want to have the energy to start your day. And then as the day goes on and you go into evening, you want your cortisol levels to naturally go down. And if that's not happening, this could be where your problem is. This could be one of the things for you to look at. So all of the things I'm giving you, you may have one or two, you may have multiple things. And when you start designing a program for yourself, you can just tweak one or two things at a time. Don't make this an overwhelming project where you try to change absolutely everything in a 24-hour period. We're going to talk about picking one or two things that you can do. And the great thing about this, you can start one or two things tonight before you go to bed, right? High cortisol levels reduces deep sleep, impacts your REM sleep, and it impairs your emotional recovery. So cortisol, not good for resting at all, not good for getting a good night's sleep. Signs that cortisol may be the thing affecting your sleep. Again, waking up frequently. You feel you're exhausted, but you still feel like there's electricity running through your body. Pass out at any given moment. You simply can't. Your body, your mind, your body just will not let you tank all this stuff down enough for you to go to sleep. And you may have an increased craving for sweets, for sugar, and caffeine. Signs that your signs that your sleep stress levels need to be adjusted. You have constant fatigue, a lot of irritability, difficulty concentrating. And this is where this can impact you in other places throughout the day. This, for me, I know when I haven't had a lot of sleep, like for instance, today is Tuesday. I think it was last week, Monday. I did not get a good night's sleep. And I believe it was my fault, because I think I was up late watching something Saturday night. Told you it's 1 or 2 days it's going to impact me. But Monday I got up and I just didn't feel like I had the energy that I would have normally wanted to have to get certain things done. So I did something that was going to allow me to feel productive, but wasn't going to take up a lot of energy, and it wasn't going to take up much thinking at all, because my concentration was way off. So I came out and I cleaned out my office all day Monday, or not all day, but the couple hours in the morning. I just cleaned my office because I knew I didn't have it in me to concentrate. And whenever I try to work, I get frustrated with things that normally make me feel excited to do them. But when I'm too tired and my concentration is off, the same things that I enjoy doing can end up frustrating me, because I know I'm not operating at the level that I want to be operating, and I'm making mistakes and I'm misreading things. It's a hot mess. So another sign that your sleep stress levels need attention. You wake up and you don't feel rested. So you're just constantly tired. You are relying on coffee. Yeah, so you are doing the coffee sugar thing now because you feel like you need it in order to function. You're struggling with feeling anxious, and a lot of things are overwhelming you. You feel emotionally overwhelmed by things that normally would not throw you for a loop like that. So basically, monitor how you're receiving things and how you're approaching things. If things are coming at you that normally wouldn't faze you, and now they're making you feel anxious, and it's like, it's too much, I can't deal with this. Or if your output is thrown off because you don't feel connected to stuff that you normally would feel connected to, you are having a difficult time concentrating. If you're in meetings, it's like you're hearing people talk and it sounds like Charlie Brown's teacher. You're hearing like wah, 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 wah. And this can get bad because these are the meetings where someone could turn to you and go, so what do you think? And you're like, and you realize you were hearing the voices, but you weren't able to really process the information because your brain is just barely trying to hang on. So let's talk about a couple of things that you can do. We talked about the importance of REM sleep, what it does for you, what happens when you don't get it, how cortisol impacts your sleep. We've talked about the sleep stress cycle and how it basically feeds on itself. So let's talk about a couple of things you can do to prepare yourself for better sleep. So I actually do this one when I'm doing what I feel like I'm supposed to be doing. I do this, and it's a wind down routine at night. And if I do this properly, I have my phone set, I think it's set for 8:15 p.m. And that's sort of you should start getting ready for bed. Because my optimal bedtime is somewhere between 9:45 and 10. I really needed to probably be a little bit earlier because the nights that I go to bed even earlier, I can be up and in the gym between 5:30 and 6, no problem. Like I just get up, I'm excited about getting into the gym. I don't feel exhausted. The nights that I stay up until 10:30, 11, 11:30, 12, getting up and going to the gym at 5:30, it's like I have to drag myself, or it doesn't happen until 6:30. And then I'm telling myself, you threw your morning off. It would have been better if you'd have gotten up. So some wind down. What is your sleep environment like? What is your bedroom down? I'm cutting my heat off in here right now. What is your bedroom like? Or where do you have a comfortable vibe when you walk into your bedroom? You want to create a sleeping sanctuary. Now, one of the things that I have done, I can't remember the last time I had a TV in my bedroom. I know it's been over 20 years. And it was because I was reading something or listening to something about getting a good night's sleep. And this doctor said your bedroom should be for two things: sleeping and sex. And if you have a TV in there, you've added a third thing that for the most part isn't probably helping you with either one of those other two things. But, I could be wrong. You do you. But think about that. If you're one of these people who has a TV on all night long in the room and you think, oh, but I like going to sleep by it, this is what I'm going to say about everything you're going to hear. Experiment. Make it your new best friend. Make it a new friend in your head. And just ask yourself, but what if I just experiment with this for a week? What if I just experiment with not turning my television on in my bedroom for a week and having this wind down? And so creating your sleep sanctuary. Declutter your room. When you walk into your room, are you sleeping on half of your bed because the other half has the week's laundry on it? Do you have to navigate through books and piles? Do you work on one half of your bed? I have a girlfriend who used to work on one half of her bed. I actually helped her turn an area in her dining room to a legitimate office. So if she wanted, she could sleep on her entire bed. And I will tell you, if you have a king size or a pretty big bed and you catch yourself sleeping on one side, treat yourself and sleep in the middle of your bed one night. If you sleep by yourself, obviously. Sleep in the center of your bed. Move your pillows and everything dead smack to the middle of your bed. and sleep in the middle of your bed and see what the feeling is. You might surprise yourself. So declutter. Temperature. Oh my gosh. Hold on. Now, if you sleep with someone, this could become an argument. Like, you might need to get two separate blankets, or you may need to get another blanket. Optimum sleep temperature is closer to cooler than it is hot. If it's too warm, word on the street is your body just doesn't sleep the same when it's getting overheated. So you want to figure out a way to lower the temperature. Now, you can always put the blankets on, but you want to keep it cool enough so that everything in your body is kind of slowing down and the heat is not just overwhelming you. Make the comforter or the blankets and everything warm enough for you to be comfortable, so you don't want to be cold when you're sleeping, but you want the air in the room to be on the cooler side. I think Dr. Matthew, and one of the things that I'm reading is between 60 and 67 degrees. Now, some of you are like, 60 degrees? I'll be sleeping in a Parker. But if you're sleeping in a room that's like 73, 74, even 72 degrees, I want you to try to get it below 70. Put it at 68, 69. One of the things that I do, I will turn the heat on so that when I go get ready to go to bed, my room is not so chilly that I'm uncomfortable, but I turn it off so that at night while I'm sleeping, the temperature in the room is going to drop. So declutter your space, play with the temperature, and if you've been setting it up over 70, I want you to try to get it down below 70 and, do whatever you need to do with the bed to make that a little bit warmer, but get the room a little cooler. And obviously, because if the sheets or the blankets get too much, you can kick those off at night. Don't make it so hot that you're just sweating in the bed because you're overcompensating for the cool room. Trust me, you can handle this. You want to block out noise and as much light as possible. So you want to get your room decluttered, get the temperature right, get the noise factor down, and the light. You want the lights out. I don't even like lights from alarm clocks in hotel rooms, like the blue light or the red light or the green light, whatever that is, that's almost eye level when you're in the bed in the hotel. I cover it up with a towel. Those little lights drive me nuts. Even at home, you have so many things and gadgets in your space now that you don't even realize it's hard to just get complete dark. So think about that. Do you need new blinds? Do you need blackout curtains? Now, I know I started this off by saying, experiment with like one thing, and I've just given you 5. I'm going to give you a bunch of stuff that you can experiment with. You need to write those down and pick the ones that you can try. Look, decluttering and adjusting the temperature, easy peasy. Yeah, you can get both of those done tonight. So a 60-minute bedtime routine. This is just something for you to consider and experiment with it. 60-minute bedtime routine. First 20 minutes, power down and get yourself organized for your next day. Like I said, the way to have a great morning or a great day is to have a great night before. And so take 20 minutes of that hour before you're going to bed and just get yourself set up for the next day. The next 20 minutes of that hour, something relaxing. This is when you can turn off all your devices. If you're reading, read a book. Now, if you like to read on an electronic device, that might be the exception. You can switch that over so you have a darker screen, so it's not that bright white screen. So make those adjustments, and hopefully if you are wearing glasses, you want to block out that blue light as much as possible, so get whatever you can get for that. Reading, stretching, meditating. So first 20 minutes, power down, organize the next day. The next 20 minutes, reading, stretching, meditating. If it's prayer for you, if you don't do either and you just want to sit quietly, whatever works for you. But the whole point is that you're starting to train your body to just do this so that it's ready for sleep. Final 20 minutes, dim the lighting. You could do some deep breathing. You might want to get in bed and just do some journaling. This is a great time actually to do journaling and just kind of capture the things that went on in your day. Whatever it is that you want to journal about. The good things. I have a book, the What Went Well Journal, 3 things that went well in your day, and then you tell what caused those 3 things to go well. So it's all the good things that happened in your day and how you played a role in them or you got to witness them. So whatever it is that you're journaling, this is a great time to do that. You can do a brain dump. If you've had a really anxiety-filled day or a stressful day, this is a good time to do a brain dump and just write down everything that worried you during the day. Do it before you get into the bed. Just write down all the things that you feel didn't go right, the things that you were stressed out about, and it's really to help you just get them out. Sometimes you can talk them into a recorder. You can use your phone and talk them up. But the reason I don't recommend that is because the talking sometimes gets you revved up again, and it can get your anxiety levels up at a time when you're trying to get them low. So remind yourself that any problems that you had today are going to feel smaller once you go to sleep. And if you get a good night's sleep, that REM kicks in and it makes anything difficult. It softens the emotional aspects of the day, of the problems that you thought you had or that you did have. And you want to make sure that you can remind yourself of that. So you know what, this is all going to seem like less of a problem tomorrow. Or how about this? I will be in a better position to deal with this tomorrow when I've gotten a good night's sleep. And just believe that that's what's going to happen. I think what happens most of the time is we literally think about the stuff that's bothering us as we're getting into bed, and we lay in bed and think that we're going to solve all of these issues, or we just worry ourselves to the point where we can't sleep. So you really do have to start having a different kind of communication with yourself. Yeah. Managing stress during the day. So just a couple of things. You can do mindfulness things. You can do breathing, deep breathing, or guided, some kind of meditation. In my book, I talk about the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You find 5 things that you can look at in your space, 4 things that you can touch, 3 things that you can hear, 2 things that you can smell, and 1 thing that you can taste. And it's amazing because it really does just get you into a calmer space, get your heart rate down, settle your nerves. Movement. This is another one of the things that I'm falling in love with. So there's exercise and then there's movement. And you can do 90 minutes of exercise in the morning, and that's amazing. Unfortunately, a lot of people hit the gym or do whatever in the morning, and I have to catch myself with this too because I try to work out first thing in the morning. And then if I'm sitting for the next 12 hours, it's like my body needs movement. So I have a hula hoop in my room. I have a jumping rope somewhere in here, so I may take that outside and just do some jump rope, or I'll do the hula hoop right here in my office in the middle of the floor. And that's so that I know somebody that has a timer that every 15 minutes he literally gets up and does something, even if it's just 25 jumping jacks. But at least every hour, get yourself up and have some movement, whether it's stretching or walking or yoga, something to release the tension, just shake everything off. And it really, really does work because you don't realize how much tension is building up in your body during the course of the day, especially if it's a stressful day. And then your nutrition. You want to make sure you're eating right. Have a good breakfast. Don't overdo the coffee and the caffeine. Matter of fact, you want to avoid having caffeine. My dad could not have caffeine after 3 o'clock in the afternoon. If he did, he knew he was not going to get a good night's sleep. So again, this may be something you want to experiment with to figure out what is your caffeine cutoff time, whether it's tea or coffee, wherever you're getting your caffeine from, and how much sugar should you be having later in the day. So if you're a soda drinker, are you having a Pepsi with dinner? High sugar concentration in most sodas. So if you're having a Pepsi with dinner, you're having teaspoon on top of teaspoon on top of teaspoon at 7, 8 o'clock at night, 6 o'clock at night, whatever time you eat dinner, and it's probably too close to bedtime. There are stress relief techniques. These are things you can look up. Look up box breathing. Box breathing. That's where you take a breath, you inhale for 4 counts, you hold it for 4 counts, you release it for 4 counts, and then you hold that for 4 counts. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4. And just do that repeatedly. And it's another way to help calm you. These are things that you can do anywhere. You can close your office door or sit in your cubicle or sit in the parking lot in your car if you need to, especially if you maybe just had a really difficult conversation with your ex or your attorney or whomever, or your boss, whatever. This is one of the things that you can do anywhere. And I already talked to you about the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5 things that you can see, 4 things you can touch. I always remind people when you're doing the 4 things you can touch, be one of those things. Hug yourself. Give yourself a hug when you're doing the 4 things you can touch. And it could be your chair, the pillow, your desk. It's a grounding exercise, like you ground yourself physically when you're touching things. Your energy management, do take the breaks to stretch, to do the yoga, to take a walk. Also hydrate, have your water, have something to drink, and set boundaries. Set boundaries to avoid the burnout. It is okay for you not to try to get every single thing done on your list every single day. Celebrate the things that you did get done. I did a short on this. Celebrate the small wins, because sometimes I call it my to-done list. You would probably call it a to-do list. I like the to-done list. It feels like I'm encouraging myself to get things done. And I've had to learn that every single thing may not get done. I'm checking things off as I go through the day, but doggone it, life happens. Things pop up that I wasn't expecting that need to be handled, that are more of a priority than the next thing on my list. And so I get it done. But I have also learned that some things are not of doggone priority that should be put on above something on my list. And I need to say no. I need to say no. There is no emergency happening right now. This is not actually a priority. It can wait. Now, might that inconvenience somebody else? Perhaps. But you're going to have to start deciding, are you being overwhelmed or are you overwhelming yourself in a lot of instances? And then, track your progress. If when you're writing in your journal, you can put in your journal what time you went to bed. Write down the time. So this is for you to track. This is your experiment tracker. Write down what time you went to bed. Do your last hour. What are the things that you did? What time you got in the bed? And then in the morning, carry the time you went to bed over to the next day so you can see it. And then write, what time did you get up? And during the course of the day, you could just put a note. Did anything really stressful happen during the course of the day? What great things happened during the course of the day? And how did you respond? How did you handle them? Did you have periods where you had an emotional reaction to something and you were like, got me again? Or did you have something happen where you were like, I almost had an emotional reaction, but I was able to have a response, an appropriate response instead of an emotional reaction. So you caught yourself, and write those things down. And that way you can have like this sleep stress journal. And after a couple of weeks of doing this, you can start tracking. Even if you haven't changed anything in your sleep pattern, you can track what is happening throughout your day and how are you dealing with it, because it will either show you where you've started improving, or if you haven't even started working on anything but this journal, it will show you where you might want to start focusing on some things, because you're going to see the patterns. If the same things are happening and you're reacting the same way and having the same heightened stress situation, you can't lie to yourself because you will have documented. And it's like, oh, I got to start doing something different here because this is not healthy. You can recover, have these little weekend recovery things. I recommend that you always celebrate by finding something fun to do. And whether it's taking yourself to a movie, taking yourself out to dinner, getting together with some friends, especially if you're going through a breakup or a divorce, this transition can be really challenging because your friendships could get a little funny. You hopefully have a couple of people in your support circle, your support group, that are just there for you. But you can start learning to do things by yourself. If it's not, I'm not trying to add stress. Some people that just hearing that, they're like, I can't go to the movies alone. You actually can. You may not be ready to, but they will let you in by yourself. But think of some things that you can do that are just enjoyable. Maybe you just go to a museum and walk around, and that's kind of cool because you're in the place, but there's so many people milling around that you don't necessarily feel as lonely as you might otherwise feel. Like sitting at dinner by yourself might feel a little too, like, people can see me walking around a museum. Nobody cares that you're walking around by yourself. They don't really care that you're at dinner by yourself, but you may think that they will. And when to seek help. When does this get to a problem where you need to go and talk to somebody? And I would say anything that goes on for an extended period of time that you don't feel like you can control yourself. So if you start experimenting with some of these things and a month goes by and your sleep is still just horrible, you're still stressed, you're still dealing with a lot of anxiety, you're depressed and the depression has not lifted, any of these things going on for an extended period of time, and it's causing problems for you and it's causing problems for people around you. Your productivity at work is slipping. Other relationships are being negatively impacted. I always think it's never a bad time to get professional help, right? So that may be a therapist. It may be somebody who specializes specifically in sleep issues. So figure out what that is. Go to your employer and see what they offer in terms of any wellness programs that may be affiliated. Some places of employment have sleep studies or sleep practitioners, people that can help you with sleep, built into some of their well-being programs, just like they have, programs to help people quit smoking or workout programs. So double check, because these are things that people often miss because they never think, oh, would my employer have that? Some do, many do not, but some do. So let's talk about a couple of takeaways. Your REM sleep, essential for emotional processing and resilience. You want to make sure you're doing everything you can to have enough solid, good REM sleep. Cortisol is a sleep disruptor. Did I say that right? Yeah. Lowering stress during the day. You want to have your high cortisol in the morning, get your day kicked in, lower your stress during the day, and it will help you decrease those cortisol levels as the day goes on. And then small, consistent habits. That's what you want to achieve. You want to do a couple of things or one or two things. The things that you can do today, make sure your room is decluttered. Just get the stuff out of sight right now so you can have a clear bed. Make sure you turn your lights out and no TV on tonight. And see if you can do that hour before and do that really gradual transition into going to bed. So look, sleep is not a luxury. People that say things like, you need to grind, you can sleep when you're dead. If you don't get enough sleep, that may come sooner than you want it to come. Being dead tired is not what you want for yourself all day. You deserve to rest and be renewed from your rest. And your productivity will be much better when you are getting the adequate amount of sleep for your body. People think, I'm going to push through, I can sleep over the weekend, and you keep pushing through. But remember what I said about concentration? When your concentration decreases and you're forcing yourself to try to get something done because you're trying to push through exhaustion, just get some sleep, just rest. You know what? There was one thing I wanted to show you. So this is an Oura ring. I am not sponsored by them yet, but who knows? This is an Oura ring. And I'm telling you, I believe in this thing so much and I enjoy it so much that I have gotten, I think 6 or 7 people have bought Oura rings in my close circle, my family, just because of me bragging about how great this ring is. So it tracks my sleep, it tracks my exercising, it tracks my heart rate, my temperature. It covers so many things. So I can get up every morning and look at my Oura ring and it will tell me what my REM sleep was, or my light, or my deep sleep. And I can see all of these things charted. It lets me know like what's going on. So these are things that I don't have to write down because it's connected to my phone. So everything will pop up on my phone. So that's something else, that maybe not right now. Maybe you want to get yourself into a pattern where you feel a little bit better about it. And then you can invest in something like an Oura ring. I know some people who have watches that track it, and another Sleep Number beds. I don't have a sponsorship from them yet. But let me just tell you this. When you are getting your bedroom in order, when you're creating that sleep sanctuary, the things that you're sleeping on, your bed, your mattress, the mattress frame, your sheets, your pillowcases, all of these things matter. And what's great about a Sleep Number bed is that it will tell you how you are sleeping, and you literally can customize each side of the bed. So if you're not sleeping alone anymore, or if you just want to change it up, either way, you can have your own sleep number and you can dial this thing to the firmness that you need it to be at for you to get the best night's sleep. It's almost like having this ring for your whole body. It tracks your information. So when you wake up in the morning, you can see what, your Sleep Number bed will tell you how were you sleeping last night. And so that's another thing for you to look into as you really start taking your sleeping more seriously. What are you sleeping on? How old is your mattress? Are you sleeping on a mattress that you've had for like 10 years? When is the last time you swapped out your pillows? When's the last time you bought new pillows? I'm not going to tell you the things that could be living in your pillows because you should be washing them regularly anyway. But if you've had your pillows for a couple of years, I promise you it would be okay for you to throw them away. And what about your sheets? If you've never treated yourself to a really nice pair of sheets, oh my gosh, you just don't know what you're missing. I use Boll and Branch sheets. I have 2 sets of sheets and a set of flannel sheets that I swap out. I put those on in the winter. And it is something about crawling into a well-made bed that is designed for your body into a set of sheets that you just feel like you're just being hugged when you get in the bed. There's nothing quite like it. So you do want to take these things. There are levels to this, is what I'm saying. There are things that you can start doing right now, and then there are things that you want to look to for down the road so you can go, I'm continuing to enhance my ability to get a good night's sleep and the comfortable environment that I can create for myself so that can happen. And when you do all of those things, you're going to see your stress levels go down because you actually create an environment that just decreases your stress. So your sanctuary, that room that you're walking into to go to sleep at night, you want to create a space that all by itself is a stress decreaser. So that's the goal. All right. I hope this has helped you. Take away what works for you, experiment with a bunch of it and see what works. But if you experiment with something, you want to stick with it for a week, 2 weeks or so, maybe even a little longer. 3 weeks would be great. So if you decide to do the 1 hour prep before, let's do a day at a time, but don't give up after a week and say it's not working. Get yourself into the pattern and the habit and see what's starting to happen with your sleep. So maybe let's start with the 1 hour before sleep so you can get ready and no TV on when you get into bed. Oh, that also means, I don't know how you're going to do this. That also means you can't lay in bed scrolling on your phone all night. This is when I know I'm jacked up because this is what happens to me. I pick this thing up and a half an hour later, that's a half an hour I could have been sleeping. All right, I will see you back here next time. Take care. Bye.